What up, everybody? Big Herc 916, getting down with prison talk. And I have with me here Sean Crane, man. And, we getting deep, sharing some stories for you guys to kind of bring you some insight on life and the value of life, man. And Sean at one point was facing a life sentence, man. And, dude, you guys, you don't want the weight of that on your shoulders as a young person, as an adult, having to deal with something at that level. And, we bring this up because of a lot of what's going on in the news. And, there's a lot of these young rappers who are getting caught up, man. And there was a rapper recently, I believe out of South Florida. He had his homies' names tattooed on his face. And he had previously did an interview on No Jumper. I'm looking for the article right now. This isn't the actual article. I thought I pulled it up, but this particular rapper, Adam 22, asked him about their names on his face. He's like, "Man, are those your dead homies?" He's like, "Nah, they're right over there, man. They're right over there." And the guys were actually alive at the time, and then they were murdered. And this rapper actually mourned them at their funeral. And now he's being accused of actually murdering his friends that were named on his face, in a tattoo. And I'll get the name for you before we finish this interview. But it's just crazy, man. And Sean, man, what could you add to that, man? What would you have to say about that when these guys, a lot of these youngsters, man, it's just, you do something and you don't really think about the consequences. Because maybe at that age you feel invincible. You feel like, nothing can hurt you. But if you're, if you get caught and you have to face the consequences, man, what would you tell these guys, man?
Yeah, that's just it. At that age, a lot of times you feel untouchable. You feel untouchable and you don't realize the impact of the severity of your choices and your decisions. And that's how I felt. I never imagined the way I was going to feel when I was facing a life sentence. It's indescribable. You realize in that moment that life's not a joke, it's not a game. Everything that you overlooked or took for granted starts to stand out to you, and you wish and would give anything to be able to go back in time and to make different decisions. But a lot of people can't understand that until they're experiencing something like that. You don't understand how when your whole life is being taken from you, what you're going to start to think about and feel. It's just, a lot of people can't fully understand that. And so for me, I was 23 when I was looking at a life sentence. And I had barely just started to live my life. And everything that I did, leading up to that point started to stand out to me. I experienced so much regret for the way I chose to live my life, for the poor decisions I made, knowing I was never going to see my family again, knowing I would never have a family of my own, or get to live a life that I truly valued, because I didn't value my life and I just wasted time. I wasted all those years. And being stuck in that cell, reflecting on it, was worse than the actual life sentence I was facing, knowing I had just wasted everything. And so what I would say to anybody who's younger, who's caught up in some type of trouble or drama is like, you don't understand what you're doing to yourself and you're going to regret it. And those regrets are going to be painful and you're not going to be able to go back and live differently from that point forward.
And I don't know if a lot of these young people even care or realize that, when you murder somebody, there is no statute of limitation on that. You could be an old man, they find DNA or technology or some old video footage comes out, man, and it puts you at the scene of a crime, or you think you got away with something, and dude, it's like you're gonna have to at some point face that, or which people don't really think about is the karmic energy. Mm-hmm. That something else, if it doesn't happen violent to you, it might happen to your kid, to your mom, to your sister, but it's like it comes full circle. So it's just, you don't really think about that stuff, man. And, I didn't think about a lot of it either, because when you're young, like you said, it changes when it flips. And once you're dealing with that situation, looking at, head on, it's not the same as when you were actually on the other side and, you're participating in it. So it's two totally different things, man. And a lot of people don't really think about the second one when you're sitting there and they're reading off charges and you got all this weight of the court and everything else on you. It's a whole nother ball game, man. And I don't know. Maybe I sound like a old person when I say this, and some people think, oh man, gee, you just don't understand and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, like you said, looking at life now in retrospect, man, I mean, dude, I mean, how different is your mindset now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as your maturity, I mean, when you were young, it's like, to some degree, you're like, probably, I don't give a F, And so I don't even know, how we could really reach some of these kids. I don't know if they're too far gone. Do you think some of them are even reachable?
Well, for me personally, I had to go to prison to learn my lesson. I wasn't going to change or wake up. I don't know what would have changed me. I mean, there's so many days and nights that I almost died that I didn't wake up from the amount of drugs I was putting in my body, or friends and people close to me that died during that time in my life. And nothing was changing me. Nothing was helping me to understand the magnitude of what was at stake. So for some people, unfortunately, they might have to find themselves in that cell alone to really start reflecting on themselves and their life on a deeper level. That's what happened to me. And I saw the truth that I never could recognize prior to that, about what really matters to me, about how I really want to live my life. Luckily I had a second chance, but a lot of people don't get that second chance. And so if there's someone listening or watching right now who feels inside, like in their heart, that they don't want that life, but they don't know, how to go about living differently, or they feel pressure from their friends or family, like, you have to understand that when you get locked in that cell and you're looking at 10, 20, 30 years in prison, you're going to wish that and give anything to be able to go back and do it different. Like, that pain in that moment, you don't know that. And as tough or hardened as you think you are, and how stuck in your ways you are, that stuff crumbles instantly, man. It crumbles instantly. I don't care who you are. You feel different that moment. The cell door closes and you're not going home. And it'll change you, man. It'll change you. And a lot of people don't want to admit that, but it's true. And I don't care who you are, when you're in that situation, you're going to wish you lived your life differently.
When you said that it crumbles, man, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen guys in there and literally, they used to come, holler at me, man, and they'd be crying. Right before lockdown, like, Big Hurt, man, I just want to go home, man. Dudes they got locked up in their 20s and they're 40 something now. And they're like, dude, they got a life. See, when you're in your 20s, you think, I'm tough, do anything, bum, rah, rah. And you get in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. It's you know what I mean? It just, the wind's knocked out of you, bro. It's like, dude, this wind's knocked out of you. And, it might be exciting and you're gangster and this and that, but it's like, dude, you get up in there, and the thing is, some way, somehow, you cannot, once you take that away, that life from another person, you cannot, there's no coming back from that. That person has people that love them too. They have people that used to look up to them too. Now, whether it's justifiable because one person was more violent than the other, I mean, the bottom line is just to try to somehow ease your way out of that environment altogether. Because it's just, I know, and I'm not going to try to, like I said, I done been in a situation where I'm like, damn, if I would have had a gun, I would have had to defend myself, and then I could have got caught up just as easily. So I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I'm just saying, backing your way all the way up out of that and just getting away from it, because the options, there is no good option, once you're tied up in there. And like you said, man, you're here, but look how many people that aren't here that you knew growing up, through whatever drug use or violence and stuff, man. So, man, it's crazy. And then with technology now, man, I mean, dude, they're solving all kind of murders and situations, man, and people, thinking they got away with something because a year later, dude, it's like they didn't even have the technology. I remember I got caught up in something 6 months. I was on the street 6 months later. It came and picked me up. You know what I mean? And it's like, dudes do stuff. I mean, dude, you never know, as far as when you've done some dirt and you cause some type of energy, it's a ripple in the universe. that ripple has to, it's resonating, so it's going to go somewhere. Whatever ripple, you murder somebody, do you think that murder just disappears? Or you heard that it doesn't just disappear. It's somewhere. It's energy. So you got to really put that into perspective, man. And I hope some of the people watching this can actually put that into perspective and see that we're not here trying to lecture anybody or act like you're soft if you ain't popping your gun or whatever the case may be, man. But one or two things: you end up dead, and just everybody mourn you, and your kids grow up no father or brother, whatever the case may be, or you're in that penitentiary, man, and it's like you're in living hell. To me, the penitentiary, bro, when they talk about hell, that's living hell. You see on TV people living and you're stuck. Yeah. Everybody's having fun. You get off the phone. Oh, man. You go lockdown. God, man. It's living hell, man. Every day you got to living hell. This dude over here, you got to watch him. Dealing with this over here. You got this over here. It's living hell, man, till you make it out of there. It's living hell. It's not, in the movies, no, you go to prison, man. It's living hell. It's living hell, and a lot of people try to mask that, and you see them, they get hooked on drugs in there. That's how they do their time, getting high. Some guys get high every day. I knew there's a lot of guys I didn't even know they got high until after the fact, but that's how they were dealing with the stress, getting high. So, you sharing your story, man, and like you said, man, you get up in there, man, you're gonna crumble like an old dried up pound cake, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, right? When you're younger, you don't want to hear this type of conversation because you can't really relate to it. So you made a comment about like, I don't want to sound like some older cat trying to tell you how to live your life, but you're speaking from a place of experience, right? So am I. Like, we're one of the few that have made it out and have been able to live a good life despite our past. So my mission is just to be an example for people. I don't always have to tell them and get in their face and like with my son or kids that I see growing up that I'm trying to mentor. But I want to show through my actions every day what a real man looks like and what's possible. I want to raise good kids. I want to be out there, being involved in the community because I know that that's going to have an impact on them. And then some people see that and they want to change and live differently. Others don't. They have to go to the school of hard knocks and go to prison or go down that tough stretch, unfortunately. But I know that my actions and the way I show up every day in my life has an impact on people. So if there's someone watching right now and they're not ready to change, they might not change today, but maybe they'll remember this conversation. Yeah. Right? Maybe one day it'll click for them. I know that happened for me. I wasn't ready to change when my uncles came and sat me down, or people at school, or going to juvenile hall and all this stuff, but I remember what they said. And when I was ready to change, it all made sense for me. So for anyone listening who wants a better life but they're stuck, man, just know you're made for more. First of all, you're capable, and there's going to come a time where your opportunity presents itself. If you don't take advantage of that opportunity and you go down that same dark path you've been going down, it leads to two ways, right? Like Herc said, either in a graveyard or in a penitentiary. Now, you might rather be in the graveyard because of the pain you're going to feel in the penitentiary, right? But your family, your kids, everybody that you leave behind, that's not the legacy you want to leave behind, right? That's not the impact that you want to leave behind. And just think of that when you're making your choices now.
Well said, man. Dude, it's, like you said, it's hopefully resonating with some of you guys. Some of you guys aren't going to get it, so you're going to have to learn it the hard way. But when you think back to watching this YouTube video and you're like, man, I remember listening to Big Herc and Sean Crane, man, God, man, I wish I would have just stayed home that day, or I wish I would have done this. And, but it is what it is, man. We're just putting the message out and trying to save lives out there, man. Big Herc 916, Prison Talk, getting down with Sean Crane.